right, so we're down to our last speaker. Nobody likes to follow him. He's that good a speaker. I will say this, the directors of This Is Texas Freedom Force, when we first heard this man speak about the Alamo, almost 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we started sweating from our eyes. He is something else. You may have heard him speak several times at the TITFF rallies. He has a powerful speech in San Antonio at the HDRC meeting talking about saving the Alamo cenotaph. He's a U.S. Army veteran and served in the Texas National Guard. Excuse me. He has a bachelor degree and a master degree in Christian ministry. He also has a PhD in educational leadership from Trident International University. He's worked as a public school teacher, a pastor, a mail carrier, and a professor. He's been a candidate for U.S. House District 15. He currently serves as the Republican Party historian. I'd like to welcome Dr. Tim Wesley.
All right, I am glad to be here. Hello, Texans. All right. And if you're not from Texas, welcome to Texas and Alamo. All right. Well, I'm excited to be here. Every chance I have to talk about the Alamo, I just jump at it. When I think about the Alamo, before we even get to the Battle of the Alamo, we got to think about what I'm wearing on my shirt. Come and take it. Think about a small place. Come and take it. Come on. Think about a place there in Gonzales whereby our troops, Texas troops, decided, you know what? If you want this cannon, come and take it. Come on, Texans, come and take it. That same mentality will spill over by the time we get to the Battle of the Alamo. I'm reminded of what took place, just thinking about history. There was a gentleman, you've heard the names, you've heard about Lieutenant Colonel Travis, you've heard about Jim Bowie, you've heard those names. But what most people don't realize is that as we look back in history and we think about what was taking place, Jim Bowie was given an order from the general at that time, General Sam Houston. And he told him, he said, I need you to do 2 things. Think about that for a moment. 2 things, the 2 things I need you to do. Number 1, I need you, when you get to San Antonio, I need you to make sure that you destroy the Alamo. Destroy the Alamo. The second thing I need you to do, make sure you bring back all of the men and all of the artillery. Because General Sam Houston, at this time, he thought it was impossible and unnecessary to fight for this city and Alamo. Think about that for a moment. But Jim Bowie, I love the fact that it takes a few rebellious Texans, come on somebody, a few rebellious Texans to just say, you know what, I believe that it's worth fighting for. By the time Jim Bowie got here, he decided, you know what, I'm going to ignore that order because this great place right here, the Alamo, the city of San Antonio, it's worth fighting for. That's right. So he gets here and he tells Lieutenant Colonel Travis at the time what's taking place. And keep in mind, at this point, we understand history tells us there's roughly about 200 defenders. And these roughly about 200 defenders realize that if we take this on, we're going to be outnumbered. They realize that if we take on this battle, at a certain point in time, the general from Mexico is going to come upon us and they're going to outnumber us. They also realize that we were going to die. They realized that we were going to fight with everything we have in us, but ultimately we may end up dying. What we don't always hear is that General Santa Anna, the general that was in charge of the Mexican forces, as he was coming upon the Alamo, as he was bringing his troops in, there was a red flag that was waving in the background. There was a red flag that was waving. And those troops that was here at the Alamo, they saw that red flag. And for those that don't know what that red flag signified, it signified that there was going to be no one left alive. No surrender. Even if they're found alive, they will be killed. So these troops knew without a doubt that we have death in front of us. They knew without a doubt we have death in front of us. But instead of retreating, they decided that it's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for. We've heard it said once or twice, and I'll say it again. Against all odds, there were 32 men that were coming from Gonzales. They already had the spirit amongst them that we were going into battle. These 32 men miraculously made it through enemy lines to come and join in with those defenders that were already here. They realized, even going in, that we're probably not going to come out alive. I don't know about you, but it's something inspirational to know that when we have a few defenders, knowing that they're outnumbered, they had their rifles and they had a cannon. For those that don't know, the cannon that said, "Come and take it," that cannon was here at the Alamo at the time. Come and take it spirit and attitude was here at the Alamo at that time. In 2021, Texans, I'm challenging you right now to have that same type of mentality, the come and take it mentality, because they believed that it was worth fighting for. I'm reminded, and I'll paraphrase what was taking place. Lieutenant Colonel Travis at the time, he drew a line. We hear about the line, quote unquote, some will say line in the sand, but we hear about the line in the dirt. He drew the line in the dirt. And he had all the troops on the other side of the line, and I'm paraphrasing, he basically told them, whoever's with me and is ready to fight